Hi, my name is Megan Rios, and the book I read was Your Dating Days by Paul Landis. This book is basically a guide for young adults and teenagers on how to date, when to get engaged, and when to get married. There's also questions involved in the book that help you and guide you to the point of getting married. So what I liked about this book was that there were several chapters that talked about like when to get engaged, to start getting, into the dating scene, and or what they called a courtship. Now, I thought courtship was a little bit weird until I looked it up, and I found out that a courtship was a way for accountability that they used to do in like older days, like towards the 1950s. I mean, there's still people that do it, but it's interesting to see how they do their form of dating. Um, Now, one thing I thought that was interesting from this book was that religion is a big issue when it comes to getting married because you run into the fact of, are you the same religion? And if you're not, then how are you going to go to church? Are you both going to go to separate churches, or are you going to go to the same church? And at the same time, if you are, thinking about marriage, you have to think about kids. Will they be in the same religion as you? Will they be in the religion of your significant other, or what they call a soulmate? Or would they not have a religious place and just try to figure it out on their own? There's a lot to consider with that, and I thought that was important to note because, like in most families, like in my family, for instance, we're Christian, and mom and dad have always said if you're Christian, then you want your significant other to be Christian. Also, too, if they're two different religions, then one church is going to say, well, I want your kids in my religion versus I want them in yours. One religion's going to want it more than the other, and so you're going to have that difficulty of that. The other thing that I found out that was really interesting was that many people get married when their significant other or their soulmate goes into the military and they get deployed. When they get deployed, many people think, oh, they're getting deployed. I need to be with them. I get the benefits, of the military, and so they get married. And getting married is a good thing, but then too, you may have only dated them for a few months, or maybe you've dated them for a long time, and you get into the relationship, and then once they get deployed after you're married, you get this loneliness. And with this loneliness, you wish you had kids, but therefore, because you don't have kids, that's why you're lonely, and you tend to just like live on your own, and as if you were single, but you're married. Then there's the option of being engaged. Now, if you're engaged, everybody knows you're engaged, but if you have a slip up in the engagement, then it looks bad on you. Like if your husband's deployed and say he finds another person overseas, you can still be engaged, but then if they find that other person and they decide to call it off, then they can call off the engagement and you don't have to, get married. But then I thought, which was the best decision of all, is not being married. If you're not married, then, which I think is like amazing because you're not engaged, you're not married, and you could still be dating the person, but if you decide like, hey, this isn't working, or by the time they come back, you're not in love with them anymore, then the relationship is done. But if you're still in love with them after they've been deployed for however many years or months they're deployed, then you can say, this is what true love is, and this is why we're going to get married, and then you get married, and life is happy as can be. So those are some of the things I like from the book, and I would highly recommend this book. Paul did an amazing job with this book. It is a short read, so you'll learn a lot from it.